it loses meaning. But when it's controlled, it becomes powerful. Now think about the most powerful people you know. They are not always the loudest. Not always the friendliest. But there is something about them. A presence. A weight. A sense that you shouldn't cross them. That's not accidental. That's built. Over time. Through behavior. Through consistency. Through controlled responses. And through understanding human psychology at a deeper level. Machiavelli didn't teach people to be evil. He taught them to see reality clearly. Because the world doesn't reward intentions. It rewards perception. And if people perceive you as weak, even if you're kind, smart, and capable, they will treat you accordingly. But if they perceive strength, control, boundaries, they will adjust. Even if you say nothing. That's the art of being feared. Without becoming dangerous. Without becoming hated. Without losing yourself. It's about balance. Because too much fear creates distance. Too little creates disrespect. But the right amount creates power. And once you understand this, you stop chasing approval. You stop over-explaining. You stop tolerating things you shouldn't. And slowly, your entire presence changes. People listen more. They interrupt less. They respect your time. Your words carry more weight. Not because you became someone else. But because you stopped allowing yourself to be treated like you don't matter. And that is where real power begins. Most people will ignore this, and stay exactly where they are. But if you understand this, your life will never be the same. Subscribe now, because the next video will show you how to control people without them realizing it. If you want more insights like this, like the video, subscribe, and stay ahead of those who still don't see it. Machiavelli believed that people are naturally self-interested. They will act in their own favor, unless something stops them. That something is either loyalty or fear. But loyalty is fragile. It changes with emotions. Fear is consistent. Because it is tied to consequences. And human beings are wired to avoid loss more than they seek gain. This is called loss aversion. People don't act right because they love you. They act right because they don't want to lose something. Respect. Access. Opportunities. Or your approval. Now here's where most people go wrong. They think fear means aggression. But that's actually weakness. Because aggression is emotional. And emotional people are predictable. Easy to manipulate. Real power is calm. Controlled. Measured. You don't react immediately. You observe. You decide. And when you act, it's precise. Unexpected. Effective. That's what creates fear. Uncertainty. Because when people can't predict you, they become careful. And when they become careful, they respect you. Let's break this down into something practical. Imagine two people. The first person is always available. Always says yes. Never pushes back. Always forgives. The second person is polite, but firm. They say no when needed. They don't tolerate disrespect. And when someone crosses the line, they respond once, clearly, and without emotion. Who do you think people respect more? It's obvious. Because the second person has boundaries. And boundaries create psychological pressure. They send a message. If you cross this line, something will change. That something is what people fear. And that's what protects your value. Now here's the deeper truth. You don't actually need people to fear you. You need them to believe there are consequences. That's the difference. Because blind fear creates enemies. But controlled fear creates respect. Machiavelli warned about this. He said a ruler should avoid being hated, because hatred leads to rebellion. But fear, without hatred, leads to control. So how do you apply this in real life? First, stop trying to be liked by everyone. That's the fastest way to lose respect. Because when you try to please everyone, you stand for nothing. And people don't respect those who stand for nothing. Second, learn to say no. Without explaining too much. Without guilt. Without overthinking. Because every time you say yes when you want to say no, you lower your own value. And people feel that. Third, control your reactions. This is powerful. When someone disrespects you, don't react emotionally. Pause. Look at them. Respond slowly. Because emotional reactions give others control over you. But calm responses, they create tension. They create uncertainty. And that's where power lives. Fourth, be willing to walk away. This is one of the strongest signals of power. Because it shows you are not dependent. And people respect what they can lose. If they feel you will always stay, no matter what, they stop valuing you. But if they know you can leave, they think twice. Every time. Now here's something most people don't realize. Fear is not created by what you say. It's created by what you do, consistently. If you set boundaries but never enforce them, people will ignore them. If you warn someone but take no action, they will test you again. And again. Until they see there are no consequences. That's why consistency is everything. Because once people realize you mean what you say, they adjust. Quickly. And suddenly. You're treated differently. Respected. Taken seriously, not because you changed who you are, but because you changed how you allow others to treat you. This is the core of power. Not controlling others, but controlling access to you. Who gets your time? Your energy? Your attention? And under what conditions? Because attention is value. And when you give it freely, without standards, there's a dangerous lie you've been told your entire life. That if you're kind, if you're nice, if you treat everyone well, people will respect you. But look around. The people who are the most liked are often the most ignored. The most used. The easiest to replace. And the people who actually hold power, they're not always the nicest in the room. This is something Niccolò Machiavelli understood centuries ago, and most people still refuse to accept today. Because it's uncomfortable. Because it forces you to question everything you've been taught. Machiavelli asked a question that still shocks people. Is it better to be loved, or feared? And his answer? If you cannot be both, it is far safer to be feared than loved. Now before you misunderstand this. This is not about becoming a villain. This is about understanding how human nature actually works. Because people don't respect kindness alone. They respect boundaries. They respect consequences. They respect power. And if you don't have those, your kindness becomes weakness in their eyes. Think about your own life. Have you ever been too nice to someone? Only for them to ignore you? Disrespect you? Take advantage of you? That's not a coincidence. That's psychology. Because when people feel there are no consequences, they stop valuing you. They start testing you. Pushing limits. And slowly, your value drops in their mind. Not because you're not good enough. But because you never showed them what happens if they cross the line. This is where fear enters. Not loud, aggressive fear. Not shouting, threatening fear. But silent, controlled, psychological fear. The kind that makes people think twice before disrespecting you. The kind that creates presence. Because real power is not loud. It's felt. You walk into a room, and people sense it. They don't know why, but they behave differently around you. That's not magic. That's perception. And perception is everything.